On June 14th, I stood up in the middle of my best friend's wedding and revealed a secret that destroyed her marriage before it even started. To her family, to our friends, I'm the monster who ruined the happiest day of her life. My name is probably a curse word in their house, the villain, the jealous friend who couldn't stand to see her happy. But they have no idea what she did to me in the weeks leading up to that day. They don't know the kind of betrayal that left me with absolutely no other choice. They don't know the real story. And today, I'm going to tell you exactly why I did it. Before you judge me, you have to understand my friendship with Jenna. We weren't just friends, we were a 20-year institution. We finished each other's sentences, had a history of late-night calls for every crisis, and were each other's unconditional support system. When she met Mark, I was her biggest cheerleader. He seemed perfect, charming, successful, and totally devoted to her. I genuinely believed she'd found her forever, and I threw myself into being the best maid of honor I could possibly be. But let's rewind to about 6 months before the wedding. That's when the first crack appeared. The wedding was getting expensive, and Jenna was stressed. She called me one night, crying, saying the venue needed an extra $2,000 deposit they just didn't have. She asked if I could lend it to them, just for a month, until Mark's bonus came through. Of course, I said yes. I didn't even think twice. I sent them money that night. A month went by. Then 2. I didn't want to bring it up, I knew how stressful wedding planning was. But then I saw something on Instagram that made my stomach just drop. It was a photo of Jenna and Mark, beaming, on a weekend getaway at some luxury spa resort. The caption? A much-needed pre-wedding escape. Best surprise ever from my amazing fiance. I felt this cold knot form in my chest. I did the math. That little surprise escape cost at least what they owed me. I tried to talk myself down. Maybe the bonus came in and they just forgot to pay me back. So I sent a really gentle text. Hey! So glad you guys got a break. Looked amazing. Just wanted to gently check in on that loan when you have a sec. Her reply was almost instant. Oh my God, can you not? We are so stressed with the wedding and now you're adding financial pressure? I can't believe you'd even bring that up right now. We'll pay you back when we can. I was just stunned. It wasn't just the defensiveness, it was the way she made me feel like I was the bad guy. I wasn't a bank. I was her best friend who helped her out. They paid me back another month later, but something had shifted. For the first time, it felt like my support wasn't a gift, but an expectation. And my needs were just an inconvenience. But that wasn't even the worst of it. The real turning point came a month before the wedding, at her bachelorette party. We were playing a silly game, like Never Have I Ever. Someone made a toast to finding a man as great as Mark, and I smiled and raised my glass with everyone else. But later that night, one of her cousins cornered me in the kitchen. She was laughing. You know, Mark told us the funniest story about you, she said. I braced myself. He told us about that time in college you got so nervous during a presentation that you fainted. He did this whole impression of you just collapsing. It was hilarious. The air just left my lungs. That wasn't just some story. That was one of the most humiliating moments of my entire life. It happened when I was going through a deep bout of anxiety that only a handful of people knew about. Jenna was one of them. I told her that story in total confidence, crying on her floor, feeling like a complete failure. It was a moment of pure, raw vulnerability. And she gave it to him. As a party anecdote. A little joke for him to tell her family to make them laugh at me. I drove home in total silence, the sound of her cousin's laughter echoing in my head. The next day, I called Jenna. I tried so hard to be calm. "Hey," I said. "Why did you tell Mark about my anxiety attack in college?" There was a pause. "Oh, that? Don't be so dramatic. It was a long time ago. It's just a funny story now." "It's not a funny story to me, Jenna. It was a secret. I was at my absolute lowest, and I trusted you with that." And that's when her voice went ice cold. "Look, we're about to be married. Mark is going to be my husband. We don't have secrets. You need to get over it. Not everything is about you. Not everything is about you." The words just hung there after she hung up. She and Mark were a team, and I was on the outside. And my deepest pain was now just collateral damage as they built their perfect life together. It's in moments like that when you start to question everything. If you've ever been made to feel small by the one person who was supposed to build you up, do me a favor and hit that like button. It just helps to know I'm not alone in this. The week of the wedding was hell. I was on autopilot, a smiling maid of honor robot. I organized, I planned, I fluffed her dress, all while feeling completely hollowed out inside. I told myself to just get through it for the sake of our 20 years of friendship. I'd stand by her, smile for the photos, and then just quietly fade out of her life. That was the plan. But the universe had a different one. 2 nights before the wedding, Jenna sent Mark over to my apartment to pick up the final seating charts I'd printed. It was late, around 10 p.m. I handed him the folder at the door, but he just pushed past me and stepped inside. "I just want to clear the air," he said. All that charm was gone. His eyes were just cold. He told me I was being selfish. That I was trying to turn Jenna against him because I was jealous. He backed me into my own living room, his voice getting louder and louder, saying I was a sad, lonely person who couldn't stand to see her win. Then, he grabbed my arm. It wasn't gentle. It was a grip that was meant to say, "I'm in control here." He leaned in close, his voice a low threat. "You are going to walk down that aisle, you are going to smile, and you are going to be happy for her. And you will never, ever bring any of this up again. Do you understand me?" I was frozen. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. I managed to rip my arm away and told him to get out. He just smirked, adjusted his jacket, and walked out, leaving me shaking in the middle of my own home. The second that door closed, I called Jenna. I was sobbing, I could barely speak. I told her everything. How he came in, what he said, how he grabbed me. I expected her to be shocked, to be furious for me. Instead, I got silence. Just long, dead silence on the other end of the line. And then, I heard her take a deep breath. "He's just stressed," she said, her voice completely flat. "The wedding is in 2 days. You're probably exaggerating. You're being dramatic again." I couldn't breathe. Dramatic? "Jenna," he threatened me in my own home. "Well, maybe you shouldn't have been antagonizing him," she shot back. "You know how important this is to me. I need you to just drop it. For me. Please. Don't ruin this for me." And that was it. That was the moment my best friend died. She didn't just choose him over me. She chose the fantasy of her perfect wedding over my safety, my dignity, and my truth. She sacrificed me on the altar of her wedding. I didn't sleep for 2 days. I showed up on her wedding day looking like a ghost. I put on the dress, held the flowers, and walked down the aisle feeling like my feet were made of lead. I stood there next to her at the altar, looking at the man who had threatened me, who was now weeping as he read his vows about love, and trust, and protection. The hypocrisy was so thick I could practically taste it. Every person in that church was looking at them and seeing a fairy tale. But I saw the lie. I saw a woman who would let her best friend be hurt and then silence her just to keep up appearances. Then came the moment. The officiant smiled and said, "If anyone here has any reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace." The church went silent. And in that silence, all I could hear was Jenna's voice in my head, "Don't ruin this for me." I saw Mark's smug face from 2 nights before. And I realized that holding my peace meant I was agreeing with them. It meant my pain didn't matter. It meant letting her marry a man who was a bully, and accepting that the person she was protecting him from was me. So, I spoke. I turned to face the crowd. My voice didn't even shake. I said. "I have a reason." A gasp rippled through the room. Jenna's face went from blissful to horrified. "I have a reason," I said again. "Because I can't stand here and watch my best friend marry a man who cornered and threatened me in my own home 2 nights ago. And I can't stand here in support of a woman who, when I told her, called me a liar and told me my silence was the price of her happiness." You could have heard a pin drop. Then, chaos. Her mother started screaming. Mark was yelling at me, calling me a liar. Jenna just stood there, her face crumbling as her perfect day shattered around her. I didn't stay to watch. I put my bouquet down on the pew, turned around, and walked out of that church. Alone. Afterward, I was basically excommunicated. Our mutual friends took her side. I got dozens of hateful messages calling me a monster, a narcissist, a jealous friend. To them, I ruined a wedding. But they didn't know the wedding was already ruined. It was built on secrets, and the first sacrifice was our friendship. The second was my dignity. I lost my best friend of 20 years that day. But maybe I'd already lost her weeks before. Maybe I lost her when she decided my feelings were an inconvenience, or when she used my deepest secret as a party trick. Or maybe it was when she chose his comfortable lies over my terrifying truth. I didn't do it to hurt her. I did it because staying silent would have hurt me more. It would have been an agreement that how they treated me was okay. That I was disposable. I stood up for myself, maybe for the first real time in our friendship. So, now you know the whole story. And I have to ask, was I wrong? Let me know what you would have done in the comments. And if you want to hear more stories about finding your voice, make sure you subscribe.